just out of the menopause, did nothing but laugh all the way through it, and used to write crazy poems and things like that.
I sort of knew when I was younger that once women hit the menopause, that yes, they did. They sort of brandished rolling pins and knives and used them.
Did you say anything now, Dorothy?
We read that it coincided with the children leaving home, and since mine weren't leaving home for another 10 years, I didn't see that it could be me.
I thought it was when you got to about 60, 65. I mean, you were old, not to young women.
I still think the menopause was very much a taboo subject, very much like your periods were. I mean, they were all women's things that happened and you didn't really talk about them.
It's generally very difficult, I think, for women to get together and talk about the menopause. Partly, I think this is because the menopause is surrounded by taboos and embarrassment, signifying their age and reproductive status. And this is a pity, because I think that women can benefit, and I know from my own group work that women can benefit from sharing, from actually comparing their experiences. They find this quite reassuring and supportive.
Dealing with depressive symptoms at the time of the menopause is a very difficult subject, because it's often a time in women's lives where they have a number of crises. They've often got difficult teenage children, they're often looking after elderly relatives or in-laws, and they may be going through a crisis of unemployment with their partners or themselves, and therefore they've got a lot of stresses.
You start to say something and you stop and you think, what was I going to say next? You know, and that's the worst thing, and you just feel so silly, and the person that you're talking to thinks, oh, silly woman.
And I would have the panic attacks. I would be sitting at the table and suddenly think I was going to die almost, you know. My heart was beating really fast. And I just had to get up and go. I was so frightened of those.
The tears.
The tears, yeah.
Yeah, I used to watch, I could watch an advert on the TV. I'd cry my eyes out.
Everybody expects the hot flushes, and yes, we can get up and run around the garden in our nighties to cool down sort of thing. But the mental side of it is the frightening bit. And it's not the side that you're going to own up to, because you don't want to admit that you're actually frightened.
One of the dangers of viewing the menopause as a disease is that it implies that all women should be treated, all women should take HRT. That suggests that if they don't take HRT, then they're likely to have considerable problems. And this itself reinforces negative beliefs about the menopause, which themselves actually contribute to distress at this stage of life.
And doctors do think that all women will go through this particular series of pain and anguish and mental disorientation, and so they do say that everybody should go on HRT, but I mean that's just a blanket coverage again.
Why do you think they're saying that women should go on HRT?
Because as far as they know and think that that's the only way to prevent it and to prevent osteoporosis, but there are other ways, in my view.
Are you happy to take HRT? I'm more than happy to take HRT, because I think the benefits it's giving me now outweigh anything that might happen in the future. I might get knocked over tomorrow, but at least I've enjoyed today.
But are you aware that there are other ways of coping with menopause other than taking HRT?
Yes, probably not all of them, but if I'm ill, I go to my doctor.
But do doctors actually have time to really get down to the bottom of the problems, or do they just see that you're advancing to menopause and right, that's it, HRT?
I know this one doctor who's very well known who says just keep trying and trying and trying until you find the right one to suit you. But I mean, that's experimenting with your own body, and if something doesn't work, they get frustrated. If they can't find the answer, they're very frustrated and more or less say, well, it's your fault, go away and change your attitude towards it and it will go away.
One of the problems that GPs have to face is it's only a tiny bit of gynecology, and obviously as generalists we have to cope with updating ourselves on every topic, from paediatrics, orthopedics, surgery, medicine, politics, all the time.
I think that it would be very helpful if we could be prepared earlier, but then perhaps it's all up to us to, hopefully, the next generation coming up to the menopause. Yes. Perhaps we need to be able to talk to people.
I think more leaflets and surgery and more information. I think a lot of women will sit up and say, oh, that's what I'm thinking and that's what I'm feeling, and I'm having one of those symptoms, and they could go then and ask, is this what I'm going through?
If I do go and see him,
we're all in different age groups
That's
as well,
right.
aren't we?
That's right.
I think one of the best things women can do in their 40s is to find out as much about the menopause as they possibly can, to find out what's likely to happen, and to find out what they can do should problems arise. This can be quite reassuring, and it'll put them in a much better position to be able to make an informed choice if and when they do see their doctors. They'll also feel more in control and therefore feel better during this stage of life.
I think the benefits it's giving me now.
I do think that doctors do think it's a sort of disease of women's
Did you say
age.
anything about the story?
He's actually had a whale of a time during it, you know, everyone else is.
When they go through the menopause, they won't have such a bad time.
The Medical Research Council are considering whether or not to fund a large trial which would involve 23,000 women over a 20-year period to assess the true risks and benefits of HRT. The advocates of HRT say the study is a waste of money, but the HRT skeptics remain unconvinced. The debate rages on. Maybe by the time these women are approaching the menopause, making the decision will be more clear-cut. In the meantime, if you're considering HRT, do keep asking questions until you feel you have enough knowledge to make an informed choice. If you would like more information about the menopause and HRT, please send 2 first-class stamps to HRT, PO Box 4000, London W3 6XJ.